Hey guys, I love OEM machines like those you can get from Dell, Lenovo or HP. I've done quite a few videos in the past, especially using them for Windows XP or retro gaming, but also as a low budget gaming machine for modern stuff. Today we are checking out the Dell OptiPlex 5060. It is the tower version, and this one is not compatible with Windows XP, but there are so many older games that will run just fine on this one. I've got a huge backlog of games that are picked up for free or on sale. Here we are at the front, Dell OptiPlex 5060. Very interesting sticker with a Core i3, so they must have upgraded this machine. Power button with LED at the front. Some machines have an optical disk drive and the card reader. Mine does not. Audio port, 2 USB 2 ports, USB 3 and USB-C. This machine is extremely compact. All the games we're testing today are from GOG. No matter what happens, I have all the installers on a USB hard drive, so you just plug in the drive, install the games, and off you go. Here we are at the back, line out. We have 2 display port connectors for monitors, 4 USB 3 ports, 2 USB 2, gigabit Ethernet. Fan, we have 4 PCI Express slots. This one is the NVIDIA GeForce 1050 that came with my machine. And here's your power supply. I tested a wide range of games. Some are older, some are more modern, so you should get a good idea of what this machine can do. This video is brought to you by PCBWay, our channel sponsor, and your one-stop shop for printed circuit boards manufacturing and assembly, but also CNC machining, 3D printing and more. Check the video description for links and more information. This machine is quite easy to open. Just push this down and then you can pull up the cover and it should come out quite easily. And next we have to deal with the front panel. So just release these tabs and then it comes off quite easily. And the final step is we just have to move this drive cage, pull it up, and then it comes out like so. And now we have access to all the components. One aspect I really like about OEM machines like the Dell OptiPlex is excellent documentation. Here we have the service manual of the OptiPlex 5060 tower, and this is the motherboard layout. And when you go shopping, pay attention because there are lesser versions of this machine labeled 3060, which have cut down features. So for example, this one you see, it has 4 memory slots, and we also have here another long PCI Express slot. This one only has 4 lanes wide. It means that you can use maybe a high-end capture card or something like that. And here we can see the difference. This is the 3060 tower. From the outside it looks identical. It has a little label at the front, but you might gloss over that if you don't read the small print. So here we're only getting 2 memory slots and a shorter PCI Express slot on this side, and it also has fewer USB ports and other aspects. Also very well documented are the specifications. So in terms of processors, these are all the CPUs that are supported. We have this one here, the Core i5 8500, and with the 8th generation, the i5 now has 6 cores. So this makes getting a machine from the 8th generation quite desirable. So you will find machines from the 6th or the 7th generation usually quite a bit cheaper. The fastest processor you can install is the i7 8700, but apart from hyper-threading and maybe a larger cache and a higher turbo speed, it doesn't really offer too much. So for gaming, playing backlog games, I don't think it's actually worth going for this one. This computer comes with a processor from the 8th generation. So starting here, the i5 now has 6 cores, and this is one of the reasons why I chose this model. We have an i5 8500. I think this is a great gaming CPU. I didn't have any issues, but if your temperatures are a little bit on the high side, you can remove the CPU cooler and reapply the thermal paste. In terms of noise, these machines are known to have some loud noise if you do video rendering or 3D rendering, anything like that. But in games, I didn't have that issue. One workaround is disabling turbo boost in the BIOS if you encounter that. But as I said, with everything by default, playing games, the CPU actually doesn't get stressed too much. Here we have memory and storage. We have 4 RAM slots. They take DDR4 2666, and mine came with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I think that's all we need for these older games, but you can upgrade it all the way up to 64 gigabytes if you want. It came with a 256 gigabyte M.2 NVMe. That is not enough for all the games we are checking out today, so I installed one with 1 terabyte. Very easy to do. Taking out and installing expansion cards like video cards is really easy. You just pull this up, there you go, and then you can pull out the cards like this one here. So this is the graphics card. It's a GTX 1050. Cards like the GTX 750 and 1050, they are quite legendary for being suitable to install in OEM machines. This one doesn't need a PCI Express power connector, which is very nice. Now, if yours has one, so maybe you've got a 1050 Ti, which has higher clocks and more memory, you can get adapters from SATA to PCI Express. Now, they can be a little bit, well, they're not really recommended, so I wouldn't put a high-powered GPU in such a machine. But if it's a 1050 or a 1650 that, draws a little bit more power than what the PCI Express slots have to offer, then you can get away with such an adapter. And here we can see the power supply. This is often a weakness of these OEM machines. So this one has a maximum rating of only 260 watts. So it means you can't install a really high-powered GPU in one of these. The power supply is rated 80 plus, only bronze, so it's also not the most efficient power supply. So again, it will do the job, and it's better than what you get in these small form factor machines. So the tower models, they do have a nicer PSU, but it's nothing to write home about. Let's run a few benchmarks. We've got 3D Mark starting with 2001 SE, and then we're going all the way up to Vantage. And I'm not sure about you, but for me, the 2001 SE, 03 and 05, they just still to this day look the best. Starting with Vantage, I just don't really have many emotions for these benchmarks anymore. In 3D Mark 2001 SE, we're getting 81,076. In 03, I'm seeing 93,115. In 05, we're getting 33,155. In 06, 33,517. And in 3D Mark Vantage, we're getting a P-score of 32,237. And now let's check out a few games. So all these games are from GOG. I plugged in my USB hard drive. I've got all the offline installers ready to go, so there was no need to go online. I sort of started in 2005, and then I wanted to pick one game per year. The first game is Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones. So this one is from 2005. The Two Thrones wraps up the Sands of Time trilogy, and it's all about the prince coming back to Babylon, only to find it under attack. The game mixes parkour and combat, and there's a new twist where you play as both the prince and his darker alter ego, which comes with its own set of powers. The graphics hold up pretty well, and the story focuses on redemption, making it a satisfying conclusion to the series. The game ran fine for me. I had to enable VSync because at first there is a scene where you run along a wall, and I always fell down. So this is a physics or timing issue. I've seen this before with older games. So enabling VSync in the NVIDIA control panel fixed that issue. It's got checkpoints, and it seems a great game that you can play here and there, progress, learn the story. But what do you think about this game? Next we have the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. So this is a massive open world RPG where you can do pretty much anything. You play as a hero and your main goal is to stop a demonic invasion, but there are tons of side quests, guilds and places to explore. The graphics were mind-blowing at the time, making the world feel realistic and alive. You can customize your character and play in so many different ways, whether you prefer sword fighting, magic or stealth. Again, this game runs very smooth on this machine. We have plenty of performance. The controls do feel a bit clunky, and this is one epic game that will likely take a lot of time to complete and to invest. Maybe not something for me. I'm more into something I can play here and there and progress over time without really digging too deep. And yeah, plenty of resources and guides online for this one, so it's great for anyone who wants to dig deeper and has time. Bioshock is next from 2007. It throws you into the underwater city of Rapture, which was supposed to be this perfect place, but it turned into a total nightmare. The game looks amazing with a creepy 1950s art style, and it's not just a shooter. There are some RPG elements and choices that affect how the story goes. The voice acting in the story, well, makes you think about big themes like free will and power, so it's more than just blasting enemies. This one also ran fine, but I had some issues with fraps in the background. It just wouldn't run. This one has support for DirectX 10, so you're getting a few graphics upgrades, and I've got fond memories of playing this one. All the way when this game came out, I had an Athlon 2 AMD machine, I think maybe 2, 3, or I don't know if it was a dual core, and then I could unlock it into a quad core, something like that. And I had a GeForce 9600 GT, and I just remember how awesome Steam was back in those days. They had sales that would reset at midnight or something like that, so a lot of us Aussies, we would stay up, check out what the next game is, and then we would discuss it online. The next game is from 2008. It is Dead Space. Dead Space is a sci-fi horror game where you play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer who ends up on a spaceship crawling with terrifying alien-like creatures called necromorphs. The game's graphics and sound design are so good that every shadow and noise keeps you on the edge. What's unique is the strategic dismemberment mechanic, where you have to take down enemies by cutting off their limbs instead of just shooting them. It's seriously scary but awesome. This is a game I really like. Also, I remember playing this one back in the day on that same machine, Athlon 2 with a GeForce 9600 GT. Even then, it had an issue with VSync enabling it in the game. You got half the frame rate, so just go into the NVIDIA control panel, enable it there, and it's great looking with fantastic shadows going on, and the sound is absolutely amazing. Awesome atmosphere. Don't play it at night with headphones if you don't like scary movies, for example. From 2009, we've got Batman Arkham Asylum. So here we are stepping into Batman's shoes as he takes on the Joker and a bunch of other villains. The game was groundbreaking at the time with a fluid combat system and impressive graphics. The voice acting is top notch, and well, it makes you feel like it's a real Batman story. The game has a dark vibe that really pulls you in. So this game is highly rated. It might be number 1 or number 2 for the PC games of 2009. Awesome graphics. Has support for PhysX, so there are some physics simulations going on with cloth and fog and so on. The cutscenes only seem to be 30 FPS, which is a bit of a shame, but I think this is an awesome game. This might be the type of game that I can play here and there, not having too much time on my hands. From 2010, we've got Mafia II. So this one is set in the 1940s and 50s, and you play as Vito Scaletta, an immigrant trying to make it big in the city of the Empire Bay. The game's story is super engaging, filled with drama, action, and betrayal. The graphics are detailed and make the city feel alive with old school cars, music, and outfits. Another game that's highly rated also has support for NVIDIA PhysX, 30 FPS in the cutscenes, which is a bit annoying. And yeah, I didn't play too much. Most of these games I really only got around to seeing the intro, but it definitely seems like an interesting game with beautiful graphics. Batman Arkham City is like taking the already great gameplay of the previous title and dropping it into a huge open world version of Gotham. You get to glide around the city, fight classic villains, and use all kind of cool gadgets. The graphics are detailed and the combat feels even smoother, so you really get that feeling of being Batman. Plus there are tons of side missions and secrets to find. Again, a game that is very highly rated, excellent graphics, and yeah, another one that I didn't get a chance to play yet. So there are so many games in my backlog that I've never ever played, and this seems to be another game that is right up my alley. This is a game, it reminds me of the game Mad Max, which I almost finished when it was released. I think it was on the PlayStation, however. And when I saw the Batman games, they play very similar to that one. Here we are in 2012. Dishonored is set in this cool steampunk-like city called Dunwall, and you play as a bodyguard who gets framed for murder. The game is awesome because it gives you all these supernatural powers like blinking across rooftops or stopping time. So you can choose if you want to sneak around or go full action. The art style is unique and the graphics and level design make the city feel alive and detailed. Yeah, I agree with that summary. The graphics definitely have a unique touch and feel to it. And if you like that whole steampunk feeling and atmosphere, well, this game has you covered. It's another game I've never played. It's highly rated. And like all the games on GOG, I add them to my wish list. And if a sale comes around, I purchase them. And the last game I checked out was Tomb Raider. This is from 2013. In this reboot of Tomb Raider, you get to see how Lara Croft becomes the fearless adventurer she's known for. She ends up stranded on a mysterious island and has to deal with all sorts of tough situations, from fighting enemies to solving puzzles. Well, this one is a must play for me. I again haven't really played this deeper. Mostly for benchmarking, and it's got an integrated benchmark, and you can easily compare it with other machines, so it's quite popular in that regard. But this is one beautiful looking game and right up my alley. It's not too difficult. It's a game I will play on easy mode. That's just me. I don't need virtual challenges in my life. Life is stressful enough. I just want to relax and have a good story and some quick gameplay, and this game is right up my alley. So guys, I was finally able to check out one of these more modern OEM machines. In the past I've done machines with the Sandy Bridge, Ivy Bridge, Haswell and Broadwell CPUs, but now we have something from the 8th generation. And here with the i5 we're getting 6 cores, so the CPU performance should be plenty of power. Even for more modern games, it's the GPU that can be a bit of a challenge, because although this is a tower version, so we can install full height video cards, we are limited by the power supply. The NVIDIA GTX 1050 only has 2 GB of VRAM. That can become an issue with more modern games, and also the performance could be a limitation. But if you're sticking to older games, then the performance is fantastic, and the 2 GB of VRAM actually helps you out. Some games have issues with too much VRAM. If you want something a little bit faster, then look for a GTX 1650. There are versions that don't consume too much more power. They might have a PCI Express power connector at the back, but it's not going to draw too much So you should be able to get away with those SATA to PCI Express adapters. If you are on a real budget, look out for 6th and 7th generation CPUs. With those, the i5 still has only got 4 cores, and a lot of people out there, they want the 6-core processor as a minimum, so they will look at the 8th gen and higher. So you might be able to pick up a bargain. At least in Australia, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing really low prices on the 6th and 7th gen, whereas with the 8th gen you pay a small premium. Avoid the OptiPlex machines starting with a 30, like the OptiPlex 3050. They have less memory slots. I think even the chipset is of a lower model, and some of the PCI Express slots are also not as good as on the 5060. And for games, I just love games from GOG. Download the offline installers onto a hard drive, then you just plug in the USB hard drive, double click on the installer, and you're good to go. No need to remember passwords, logins, you don't need to be online, and even if something happens with GOG, maybe they do shut down, well, I still have the installers, they are on my hard drive. So guys, there you have it, these OEM machines from Dell, Lenovo or HP. They are terrific value, not just for Windows XP retro gaming. I've done heaps of videos on that, but if you pick up something that's a few generations out of date and you have a huge backlog of games that you might have not played yet, well, the value is terrific. And what I noticed in this video is don't install too many games at once. So it was a bit of a chore to actually try all these games. All I saw were the intros. I didn't really get the chance to play properly. So my recommendation is install one game at a time. Spend some time on PC Gaming Wiki to really tune the game so everything runs smooth and flawless, and then enjoy life, have fun. Some of these games that I've never played, like Oblivion and the Batman games, they are fantastic and they're fully patched. We get all the DLCs as well, so it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about using one of these OEM machines as a GOG box to play your backlog games. Leave your comments down below. I always read every single comment. You might not get a reply, but I do read every comment, and yeah, that's part of what I really enjoy about running a YouTube channel. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon with another one.